Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or evening, or whenever you are listening to this. However, I hope you're having a great time. The other day I was thinking, what makes user experience design actually so special to me? And one aspect is that we as UX designers aren't just making stuff look pretty or try to create an awesome user experience, but we are also able to actually code stuff ourselves. We are not IT specialists, I know, but we are actually able to implement a website or some prototypes. But not too much before the intro. Let's get this episode started in 3, 2, 1, let's go! You might have noticed that this episode is really special to me, and I'm really enthusiastic about this, because this is how I somehow got into the UX design business. It all began in 2011 when I was developing my first Android application and when I started developing websites. And at the age of 16, I actually sold my first 2 websites to clients for €250 each. I had so much fun with that kind of thing, but I knew I will definitely go into the software industry and become a nerd one day. Well, I ended up as a UX designer. However, we as UX designers needs to be a nerd to, let's say, like 20%. Simply because it's important to have an understanding of software engineering and software development. We are some kind of interface between graphic designers and software developers, as we know both worlds and the difficulties of each of them. For this episode, I chose web development as an example simply because it's one of the most common fields. More on that in like a minute after a short break. Web development is a quite attractive field for UX designers, as it is still required by many clients, and if you are just starting out with your own company, it is really easy to acquire new clients as long as you do some good work. Furthermore, it is quite easy to develop web applications compared to native apps. Therefore, they are also most common for high fidelity prototypes. If you want to create a prototype that feels like a real system, web development is quite often the solution to go for. With HTML, CSS and JavaScript, it is relatively easy to implement some nice designs, and if your project requires some logic in the background, it is possible to work with PHP or Python in addition to SQL to create some fundamental database requests. But not only therefore we as UX designers need to know about web development. It is also beneficial for everyone if a designer knows how to implement software, because you can look ahead while doing your design. If you already know that certain designs are only hardly implementable, you can already think of alternatives during the design process, and not only when the developer gets back to you, that he or she cannot implement it, and you need to start all over again. This is only an extreme showcase, but it can happen, and it has happened in the past. Therefore, it is our responsibility as UX designers to understand both worlds, the implementation and the design side. And it is the same with us entrepreneurs, but more on that after another short break. let's get back to us entrepreneurs. The moment we start working with clients, we are the interface between our business and them. We are the ones that either close a deal or don't. It is our responsibility to take care of our business and of our clients, but the interests vary from time to time. Every business owner wants to make as much profit as possible, as he or she needs to keep his or her business going. That means the expenses should be as low as possible compared to income streams. But there is a conflict. Every client wants to have the lowest price possible. On the other hand, every service provider or producer needs to make as much profit as possible. And this is when the negotiations begin, and you need to explain your client why your service or product is more valuable than the solution by someone else. And this is where you need to explain the advantages of UX design compared to classical approaches. I think that's enough for one episode. Thank you so much for listening, and never forget to always keep pushing. Have a good one.